All right. Hi, Facebook world. It's Sara and Bob here from Clements International, and we are taking some time today to go over one of our most commonly asked questions, compensation, right? So we get questions all the time about how do you compensate your employees? How do you do bonuses? What do you do about overtime? So we are here to answer all of your questions about that. Last week, we sent out an email and asked for all of your most commonly questions, and you guys came out in full force. So we have a whole list of questions here to answer for you. But before we get started, I'm going to have Bob take a few minutes and just give us a high-level overview of what we think about compensation here.
Good. Well, first of all, I've never done anything in 30 minutes, so this is going to be a time crunch for me. But so let's go back to just basic compensation. I just did an article for Rural Lifestyle Dealer magazine and kind of touched on these. So if you want more depth on them, make sure you get to the magazine and take a look at it. But there are basically three types of compensation programs. They all start with some sort of a base, whether it's a weekly base for salespeople or an hourly rate for parts people or managers or things like this. But then on top of that, then there's some sort of a bonus structure in place. And so in those bonus structures, there's three types. An individual bonus, which we would use typically in a service department. So a technician is bonused individually on their performance, their tech efficiencies, or things like this. Then we have what we call team bonuses, which we'd normally use, let's say, in the parts department, because I don't want parts people selling against each other. I don't want somebody answering a phone and then ignoring a customer because they think they can get a bigger sell on the phone. So we team bonus those things together. And then we have what we call a pool bonus. And a pool bonus is a little bit out of each of the other bonuses that flow into a pool. And I use that pool bonus then to make sure that I'm compensating or bonusing my support staff, my office manager, my bookkeeper, Billy, who's keeping the lot clean out there and sweep things up like this. So my goal is always in a dealership, I want everybody to be able to make more money if the dealership is successful. I want everybody to walk in every day going, I can make more money if I just help this dealership grow and be profitable. So those are the basic three types of structures for bonuses.
Okay, so to go over those one more time, we've got our group bonus,
right?
Our team bonus, and then our...
Yeah, so we have an individual, a
right.
team, and a pool.
Right. So all of our compensation breaks down with those bonuses.
Exactly. So every bonus program that we build for a dealership is going to be one of those combinations or a blend of those types of bonuses.
All right, very good. And so also before we get really into our questions, would you go over the tax ramifications and why we don't encourage overtime with our bonus plans?
Yeah, and I've had several dealers in the past, and I've got calls from them. And so the thing is the Department of Labor comes in, they do an audit on them. God bless the government. And so they do an audit, and they come back and they see these bonuses or commissions, and my dealers haven't been paying overtime at that as a part of a bonus. You have to understand, from the government's perspective, a bonus is a part of a person's income. So if you're paying somebody so much per hour and you give them a bonus, you've got to build that bonus in from the government's perspective as a part of their hourly rate. So if you are paying overtime, it's not on the $16 an hour you're paying a tech. It's on the $16 an hour plus that bonus they've been getting over that period of time when the overtime was done. So I preach all the time to my dealers, don't do overtime. Do it in a very, very rare instance. Typically, overtime is done because we're lacking efficiency in some part of the dealership. There's always a time during season, I get it, that you have to do a little overtime, but stay away from overtime as a normal part of it, because when you do bonuses, it does count toward that, and you got to be paying overtime, time and a half on the hourly, plus that bonus as a combination. So just try to stay away from overtime as much as you can, but don't neglect that, because the government is after your dollars.
Bless the government.
Bless
what
the
a
government.
treat. What a treat. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get into these questions that you guys have provided for us. If you have questions that come up while we're talking, please feel free to just type them in, and we will get to them as they come up or as we have time at the end. So, all right, without further ado, let's get to our questions. So our first question came in from our mass email, and it says, when in my business should I start using compensation plans? After I have 5 or more employees or from the start? What are your thoughts?
I like to do it from the start because, again, I see a bonus program, a compensation plan, as a way to reinforce behavior. If I wanted the dog to roll over, I give them a treat every time the dog rolls over, and pretty soon they go, if I want a treat, I just need to do this. So I'm a big fan of starting it right away in your dealership. And, again, keep in mind that we're building compensation programs to reinforce performance or processes. So my recommendation always is to start from the very beginning, making sure that it's right. And I tell people again, we're going to go through a lot of things here today, and I'm going to be very generalistic in what I talk about, because as you guys know, we have almost 3,000 dealers, and they sell everything and every combination of things. So there's not a one-size-fits-all for bonus. And if you have any questions, just email us, and we'll be glad to look at your specific situation and see if we can help you with that. But I would start off from the very beginning. If I had one service tech, he would be on a bonus program in my shop based upon efficiency.
All right, very good. All right, so the next question says, what percentage of gross profit should a salesperson cost you?
Well, again, varies based upon your product mix. So if you're in outdoor power, your gross profit margin is going to be higher. If you're in heavy ag, it's going to be lower. But normally what I try to do is I try to keep a salesperson's compensation to no more than about 15 to 18% of my gross profit. Again, it's going to vary a little bit by what your gross profit is. So if you're running 15% gross profit, up to maybe 20%. I try to keep it to about 1% of that total. If you're running, say 20 to maybe 30% on it, then you can maybe go to 1.5%. I want to compensate people as much as I can. Our goal here is I want to find good people. I want to pay them well so they don't leave me. And that's what I'm always trying to do with compensation. So again, you kind of have to adjust and variable that a little bit. But I would say anywhere between, that 15 to 18 range is where I'm trying to be at.
All right, very good. So the next question we have is, it comes to the question of warranty writers. So it says, what is an effective way to pay your warranty writer?
So another great question. Again, some of you have warranty writers, especially in big ag. So a warranty writer, in my mind, gets a base hourly rate, approximately what your service writer would get. So if your service writer is making $15 an hour, your warranty writer is going to be in that same situation. The difference is a service writer's compensation, their bonuses are based upon average tech efficiency in your shop, where a service writer's compensation is based upon recovery rate of warranties. So normally for a warranty writer, we would build a compensation program that gives them some sort of an hourly base that's comparable to what your service writer might be getting. And again, it could be $12 to $15 an hour, depending upon where you're at in North America. But then we would do it based upon the recovery rate, warranty recovery rate. So if a service writer was recovering on warranty at, let's say, 85 to 90%, I might give them a 50-cent bonus on every recoverable billable hour that they produced. If they were less than 85, I wouldn't give them anything. So they just get their hourly. So I don't believe in compensating anybody for less than B-plus work. So again, 85 to 90, I'd probably do a 50-cent bonus. If they were 90 to 95, I'd probably do a 75-cent bonus on every billable hour that they collected from a warranty standpoint. And if they're in that 95 to 100 range in there, when they get to 100, I would do $1 per billable hour collected on the bonuses. So I want them to work hard to get those warranty dollars in. And again, the better they are at writing, the better they are at telling the story of what actually happened in the shop. It's worth it for me to do that.
Right. And so just to be clear, as we go through this, 85 is the minimum to start collecting bonuses.
It is, and I have that question asked a lot also. Why not start at 70 or why not start at 75? I tell people, in school I didn't get a silver star till I got to a B. And I do the same thing in shops. I've got to be profitable myself. My goal in business is I want to make money, but I also want my people to do well. But I'm not going to give you more money for being average. I'm going to give you more money if you're above average. And that's really why we start everything that we do at that 85%. So 85 is our baseline. If you're at 84.4, nothing happens. If you're at 84.5 in every system I have, that's when bonuses kick in.
We don't give out participation awards.
There are
here,
no participation awards in real life. No.
All right, good. Our next question is about general managers. So someone asked, what percent of net income should a general manager cost you?
So I don't do anything off of net profit or net income because there's too many variables that take place in that we as business owners can do into it. So I try to do everything off of gross profit. I think it's a little cleaner to do. So normally for a general manager, as a matter of fact, I'm working on a compensation program right now for an ag dealer up in upstate New York, and they're getting ready to. They have a general manager that's there. We're getting ready to bring a new one in as a part of it. And so my goal, again, is to create a compensation program. I know I'm going to have to create a program to be attractive to the candidate that I want, and it's going to need to be around that $80,000 range. And so I'm doing it as a combination of base. So I'm going to do, for them, I'm going to do about a $1,500 per week, about a $60,000 base, and then I'm going to make them get the rest of what they need About 25% of the revenue I'm going to bring off of gross profit, and normally for this one I'll probably be at that, because our gross profit's pretty strong. I'll probably be at about that 1.5% of gross profit. My goal again is to build a program that's going to be attractive enough for this candidate. I know where he wants to be at, so I'm going to try to make about 75% of his money happen out of just a base, and then the other 25% he is going to have to earn as a way to generate that gross profit up there. So.
All right, very good. So let's talk about sales managers now. How do you structure a sales manager's compensation program?
Well, for many of my dealerships that I work with, my general manager is also my sales manager. And so in most cases, I'll do the compensation program the same way. But if, let's just say I've got just purely a sales manager. So again, I would do a base. I try to keep my compensation programs about 75% base and about 25% based upon incentives and bonuses. So I try to stay right in that world as much as I can. So again, if I had to look at this just a strictly a sales manager, I'd probably need to be in that base of maybe 40 to 45,000 as a base. And then I'm going to do, again, about 1.5% of gross profit, but only on sales. Okay. So they don't get gross profit on everything like a GM would. They're going to get it just strictly on sales.
All right, very good. All right, so our next question comes, and it says, how do compensation plans relate to sales, rental, gross margin, and departmental net profit? So let's just break it down. Sales. How do compensation plans relate to sales?
So if we go to a salesperson, I'm basically looking for a way to compensate the salesperson with some sort of a base. Now we have this new labor law that was coming in, and we've been working feverishly to try to figure out how that's going to do it. Right now it's on hold. But what I'm going to try to do is basically do a base of some sort, and the base is going to be an activity amount that a salesperson is going to do. So let's say typically, if you're a salesperson, an inside salesperson, I'm going to give you a base of $400 per week, and that is going to require you to make 20 contacts per day, 20 touches a day on our customers. So everything I do in sales is activity related. There are no, again, as Sara said, we don't do participation awards. Just because you came in doesn't mean you should get something. So we're going to be doing that in a way where I'm going to require some sort of activity for that. So if you're wanting $400 per week base, I'm going to require 20 touches per day somehow, website, phone calls, people walking in, some sort of contact, and I'm going to measure that. If you want a $500 base per week, I'm going to require 25 contacts per day, and if you want a $600 base, then I'm going to require 30. Then I do the salesperson based upon a net profit on the deal. So most of mine are some sort of a base plus 10% of the net profit. In service, there's a couple of different things we have to focus on. So in service, we're looking at technicians, service writers, service coordinators, shop foremen, okay, and service managers. So each are compensated a little differently. So let's start with a service tech, which is the most common one there. They're going to get a base hourly rate. If they're in the Midwest, if they're a B-level technician, they're probably going to be anywhere between about $12 to $15 per hour, and then they're going to get a bonus based upon billable time as a percentage. So in our system for our technicians, if you're 85 to 100% efficient on a 2-week average on work orders, then you're going to get a $2 per billable hour bonus. If you're 101 to 125% efficient, you're going to get a $4 per billable hour bonus. And if you're 126% efficient or higher, you're going to get a $6 based upon your efficiency. Service managers get their bonuses like a service writer does based upon the recovery rate of the total hours produced in the shop. Service writers get their bonuses similar to the technicians. It's a lot less than what they get because they're getting a bonus on all the hours produced, but it's based upon the average efficiency of the total shop. Service coordinators get theirs based upon each tech's average efficiency. And then the shop foreman gets he gets an hourly, because a shop foreman typically is turning a wrench in our shops about 5 to 6 hours a day, and then coaching and mentoring new technicians for a couple of hours a day as they come into complex things. So they'll get their normal tech bonuses when they're turning the wrench, and then we give them a bonus similar to a service writer on average efficiency for the shop. My goal with a shop foreman is to make sure that they're gaining as much bonus as they would if they were turning a wrench for the full 8 hours. So I don't want to penalize them for helping me grow my young technicians. In parts, again, we do the parts as an hourly rate, and then in parts we normally do we take the increased sales for a month period. So if, let's say January of last year we sold $40,000 worth of parts, in January of this year we sold $50,000 worth of parts. We have a $10,000 parts increase. I would take and let's say I required the parts department to maintain a 40% average gross profit margin, so I've got $10,000 of new sales at a 40% gross profit margin, I have $4,000 of new gross profit. I would take 30% of that gross profit, roughly $1,200, and I would use that as my bonus pool then for my parts department.
Okay, and then how do you handle rental?
Rental, again, is basically done on a base hourly rate and then on utilization. So in rental, the most important thing, again, is I want to increase my sales, obviously, but I've also got to maintain utilization of equipment. So I don't want a rental fleet that's got a lot of stuff there, but none of it's getting rented because I got all this capital tied up. So again, we would do a percent of utilization. If we're utilizing at 85 to 90%, they get a bonus. If it's 85 to 90%, they get a bonus. If it's 90 to 95%, they get a bigger bonus on it. And if it's 95 to 100% utilization, they get their biggest bonus on it. And you know, the reality of being 100% utilized is rare, but I want my guys driving toward that number.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, so the next question is, if I am hiring a new technician who's worked for a competitor, do I start this employee at the wage they were at before, or do I start them at the standard dollar amount and explain how our compensation program can profit them more than a higher hourly amount? So before we get into that, would you just explain how do we determine what we can actually pay a technician?
So a shop is, to me, one of the simpler things because it's based upon our effective labor rate. So everything in the service department is based upon not your posted labor rate, but on your effective labor rate. And the difference between posted and effective is that the posted labor rate is what you tell everybody you charge. The effective labor rate is all the things that you wrote off, warranties that you didn't get paid 100% for, some sort of a customer issue that you wrote down the labor on to make the customer happy. So that's ultimately what your effective labor rate is. And what we try to do with that then is keep our technicians' compensation to no more than 30% of our effective labor rate. So again, that basically we use 30% of our post or effective labor rate we allocate toward technician compensation, hourly plus some sort of a bonus program. 15% of our effective labor rate is allocated toward my management of that shop. That would be my service manager or my service manager-service writer combination. And then we try to allocate 35% of that effective labor rate to the cost of running the department. So I've got matching Social Security, unemployment, workers' comp. I got to heat it, light it, insure it, all those things that go with that. So I try to keep 35% of that effective labor rate for that. And then I expect the owner to net 20% profit on every labor dollar produced. So if my effective labor rate is $80 an hour, I could pay a technician who's 100% efficient $24 per hour with hourly plus bonus. Okay, I've got 15% of that $80 I could allocate toward my management cost. I got 35% of that $80 that I would use for departmental costing. But of that $80, I would expect the owners as net profit to take $16 of every hour produced by every tech back in and put in their pocket as net profit.
All right, very good. So with this situation, right, they're hiring a new technician. Do they start them at the standard dollar amount, or do they compensate them at what they were coming in from before?
Normally what I would do, again, is because if it's somebody that I want, you excuse me a second because I have the sun coming in on our face here, and I look like I have some sort of incredible thing going on my face here. But anyway, if I were bringing a new person on, I always try to encourage them. There we go. That's a lot better. To encourage them by giving them a little bit more than what they're getting. But again, typically for a service tech, you know, we look at a B-level service tech, and I'm going to use the Midwest as an average. I'm normally going to pay a B-level tech $12 to $15 an hour. Uh-huh. An A-level tech then will move into the $16 to probably $22 an hour plus bonuses. So I want to make that clear so they get bonuses on it. So if you're an A-level tech at the top level and you're in my bonus structure, you're probably averaging about $28 to $30 an hour if you're maxing out my bonuses from that standpoint. So I would sit down with the new person and say, look, this is how we're going to do it. You're right now you are making $14 an hour, and because you came over here and you're going to be a part of my team, I'm not going to give you 14, I'm going to give you 15. And I tell people again, don't nickel dime people to death when you give them raises. You would insult me if you give me a quarter an hour raise. I'm just going to tell you that. So if you can't give me $1 an hour more, I'm not interested in it. It's just a nuisance to me. So if you're going to give somebody more money, make it something that will significantly impact their lives. That's what I'm looking for here. So I would give them something more, and then I would let them set out my bonus program, and I would say, but this is really what you can end up making here. So while you're making $15 an hour, which is $1 more than you're over here, I do require you to be at least 85% efficient. So Billy, if you're not 85% efficient, you're not going to get to stay in my shop anyway, okay? Because that space that you suck up is too valuable for me. Then I would walk them through the compensation program and show them how because most of our dealerships, the technicians that we bonus, most of our guys, if they're at the top level, are making an extra $15,000 to $20,000 a year just in bonuses. So I mean, but these guys are also punching out 11 and 12 billable hours in an 8-hour day. But so that's what I would do, is I would bump them up more. I wouldn't give them a quarter more. I give them a buck more than what they're making now, and then introduce them into our bonus program. I want these people passionate and excited and on fire to be in my shop turning out work.
Right. And you were just sharing a story with us just the other day about a technician at a dealership we work with who has been making such great bonuses on his work that he said to you that you had ruined his life. Could you tell us about that just for a second?
Yeah, I have a dealership that I've been working with for years in Tennessee, up in Clarksville, Tennessee. It's a dealership, wonderful group. And a while back, been several months ago back, I was at their dealership, and the technician came up to me and he said, "You've ruined my life. I can never leave here." I mean, because he's a technician. That's the young man's probably 34, 35 years old. Phenomenal A-level technician, and he's making about $75,000 a year in Clarksville, Tennessee. Great money, but I said, I don't want you to leave. I mean, I want you to do well. And he's only doing it again because he's punching out about he's about 12 hours in an 8-hour day. So he's making great money, making the dealership great money, does great work, great attitude. So wonderful technician.
It comes back to when we get these great employees, compensating them so they never want to leave.
Exactly. But I'm not going to give it to you. And I tell people that's the big thing. I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to give you the ability to get it, but I'm not just going to give it to you. So I always try to keep in mind, I want the base to be about 75% of what I want them to make, and I want them to get the other 25%, regardless of the department. I want to get the other 25% based upon some additional performance that they've done.
All right, very good. All right, so the next question comes about sales compensation. The question says, what is the best way to compensate our one full-time salesman on products sold by other employees during the times he's off for the day, or there are multiple customers in the building at one time? He has priced and prepped all of the items at an earlier time. So how do we deal with this when other people are helping finalize the sales?
Well, it just sucks to not be there. That's all I do.
Never leave the dealership.
Just don't leave. Right? Be in early and work on Sundays. That's the deal. Now, so this is where we would go back to, again, kind of the team bonus idea. So if I've got a dedicated salesperson that's selling in a retail environment, and they're gone, and they've been prepping things and stuff like this, we basically take we'd do 10% of the net profit, put that in a pool. Okay, so it's still going to be a pool, or not a pool, I'm sorry, but a team bonus. So we're going to take 10% of net, put in a team bonus. But because this salesperson's his salary, what he does is 90% of all the work that's taking place in there, he would participate in 90% of that bonus. So he gets 90% of it. Even if he's not there, he gets 90% of it. I also want to make sure that the guys that are and the gals that are taking care of these guys get some little incentive out of it. So they're going to get something out of it because they're covering for him. I want everybody to be excited when somebody walks in the door. Doesn't matter to me who talked to him or whatever. If I'm a counterpart salesperson and my sales guy is gone for lunch, I'm going to walk out, take care of him, knowing that I'm not going to get a ton off of that sale, but I'm going to get a little bit off of it. But everybody in the dealership is there to take care of that customer and to try to make that sale happen. So that's how we would do that.
And as we were talking through these questions earlier, we were talking about outside salespeople as well. How do you do that and making sure that that's distributed as well?
Great question. Very different situation. So an inside salesperson is a part of a team bonus, but they're getting the bulk of that bonus based upon what their participation is on sales. So if 90% of all the sales happen with this guy, he would get 90% of all those bonuses. A little different on outside sales, because an outside sales guy, again, he's out there working his butt off, making calls, cold calling, finding new business. Now, all of that would go toward him. So if he's got a customer that he talked to 2 days ago, he's out on the road killing it for you, trying to get more business in there, and the guy calls in and says, hey, I talked to Bob yesterday about a skid steer, about a zero turn, about whatever it was. I want to go ahead and do that. That salesperson would get 100% of that bonus, that commission on that sale, if they're keeping the information updated in their CRM or in the business management software. If the sales guy's out there making calls and he's not documenting what he's talking to people about and he's not doing those things right like that, then it goes back into a team bonus again. Because again, I got to go do my research and find it. So I require outside salespeople to make sure that they're keeping up with their activities and they're quantifying that in your CRM and your business management software. those types of things. So I've got a document of it. So all I got to do is help you finalize this sale. So it's important if you're in outside sales, right? You got to track what you're doing, and you got to document it so that if somebody comes in and you're not there, I don't have somebody scrambling for an hour to try to figure out what in God's name that you quoted this guy and what it is. So if that's the case, that goes to a team bonus. But if you're doing your right job as an outside salesperson, you should get 100% of the commission on it. But you got to keep those contacts up and keep that data updated.
Okay, very good. All right, the last question we have on here. So if you have questions that you have burning in your soul to ask us,
Burning.
Be sure to add those onto this little sidebar. But our last question is, if we have a piece of broken equipment that puzzles our technicians, but we ultimately get it back up and running and return to the owner, how do I compensate if it's returned a second or third time? This is not a comeback. The technician did his best the first time. So we got a piece of broken equipment, and it was puzzling from the beginning. We've all been there, right? But we get it up and running and return to the owner. It comes back for a second or third time. How do we compensate a technician for this?
So I don't penalize a technician for a piece of equipment that has a periodic issue or problem. That's going to happen in a shop. And I tell people again, a shop is never black and white. We work in a world of gray. And there are things that happen that a technician has zero ability to impact. So I take it on the shoulder as an owner. If it were me, I would bring it back in. The tech would get back on it again, work on it, and I would let them bonus again on efficiency on it. Now, again, in our shops that we consult with, I always encourage the owners to set aside marketing goodwill budget. Normally, we would do about 3% of our projected labor sales in a marketing budget for the shop, and I would pull that money back out of that marketing budget. So let's say we're projecting to do $500,000 in labor sales. I would have about $15,000 set aside from that. That'd be part of my departmental costing that I talked about earlier, out of that 35%, and I would have money set in there in that fund to do that. So I would do I would use that to do my winter fix specials, that I would do marketing for my shop, my preseason service specials, the mailings, all of that would come out of that marketing money. But I would also use that marketing money then, and I would be charging that, because that's a customer goodwill situation, I would be charging that back to that account, that marketing account in the shop. It's just a customer satisfaction. It's a goodwill thing. Nobody should be penalized for it. Welcome to the world of service. It happens. And again, I'm not going to penalize the technician for something they had zero control over. So that's what I would do with that.
All right, very good. Vanessa, do we have any other questions? All right, any other thoughts you'd like to share with us before we wrap up?
Yeah, I would just say, number one, there's a lot of things. So what I tried to do was give you kind of a 30,000-foot view of compensation programs. I'm just going to tell you everybody's a little different, and that's what we're here for. So, you guys, obviously, if you're on our Facebook page and you're doing this, you're folks that are interacting with us and engaged with us. So all you have to do, if you have a question or a concern, or say, okay, Bob, but my situation is different, email us, call us, let us just walk you through it. Because it's all different. I mean, I wish I could tell you, oh, this is the magical formula, but it's just, there's so many variables in it. It depends upon your equipment mix and where you're at. Like I say, in upstate New York, it's going to be different than it is going to be down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, in terms of what we have to do and how we have to get things. So I just encourage you again, take the ideas, but if you've got some challenges or struggles, just reach out to us. And we'll help you get there. We'll help you figure out the best way to do it. I mean, the ultimate goal here is we're in business to be profitable. And as you guys have heard me speak before, it's not just profitable. I want obscene profits as long as it's not illegal, immoral, unethical, or life-threatening. But I'm also in business to find and keep good people. And that's really what compensation programs are all about. So I want to find the best people I can, and I want them to experience the ability to make money that they've never dreamed they could make for in their life. I want to have people have a good life that work for me. They're going to help me have a good life. I want them to have a good life. And I tell people again, don't be greedy. Back 30 years ago, our goal was to hire people and work them to death and pay them the least amount we could, and because people would just stay. People won't do that anymore. And so I would say again, my goal here is to find good people, pay them well. Don't pay them everything, though. It's got to be, part of it's got to be earned by them. It's America. That's how it is. But that's really what capitalism's all about. I tell people capitalism works its best when everybody gets to participate in the system. And I think the compensation programs, to me, really helps people do that. They can see that they can do something with their families. They can do things they never dreamed before because they work for you. And that's something you want to take pride in as a business owner. So I appreciate it. Again, make sure every state's different. I tell people that all the time. Every state's different. If you have questions about bonuses and how that's done in terms of hourly or overtime, get with your accountant on them. Walk them through that. If your accountant has questions on how we do it, have them call us. Natalie, who works with us and on the human resource side with our dealership, she can maybe walk your accountant through why we do things, how we do them, and maybe what's the best way to do for you. So you're not alone. We're out here to help you guys. I appreciate you guys doing it. We're excited about being able to reach out to you this way. I know we're going to try to do this at least, we're going to try to do it on a monthly basis. So if you have other things you'd like to have me talk about, just to kind of ideas and stuff, email them to Vanessa. She handles and coordinates all this for us, and just let us know if we can help you. So thanks again for being a part of it. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. All right, thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye.